Hello and welcome to Pardon the Integration. Steer toward greater efficiency and better profits with Intel vPro technology, a podcast where we tackle three top trends in the channel today. I'm your host, Ed Hannon, and I'm joined today by Eric Townsend, Director of SMB Partner and MSP Marketing with Intel. Eric helps organizations through the process of realigning operations to meet emerging business goals to compete at a higher level. Adept at combining classic marketing vehicles with new social and influencing approaches, Eric helps SMEs and MSPs to effectively communicate and market services to target key growth audiences, including Gen X and millennials. Eric, thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
Excellent. Now let's get down to it. Today, Eric and I are going to discuss steering toward greater efficiency and better profits with Intel vPro technology. The way the show works is we have three topics we'll be discussing throughout the broadcast, and we have 3 minutes to talk about each. Topic 1 is channel partner pain points. Topic 2 is Intel vPro technology, and topic 3 is solutions in action. If you're watching, you'll be able to see the countdown clock on the bottom of the screen. Now let's get started with segment 1, channel partner pain points. Eric, what are the biggest pain points that channel partners have to deal with right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think right now there's kind of things I'm seeing in the news, and I'm actually talking to a lot of partners about. They just have a growing customer base that is remote. With that remote base, they also still have to support them at the same level. So before, people were at one location, now they're at many locations. So they have to do more with the same amount of resources. And it's interesting because they have all this technology at kind of the ready that they can use. But the interesting is they actually have to optimize all these specific resources they have available, once again, to handle all these new remote kind of employees, but also all these remote endpoints that they have to keep up and running, keep them secure, and keep it so that everyone's being productive.
Excellent. And then the last question for this section would be, how does Intel technology play a role?
You know, I think from an Intel perspective, we've been working with partners for decades, right? This is not new for us. And I think over the last 10 years, we've been saying, hey, we put out a technology called Intel vPro technology that's really focused on remote management. And when I say remote management too, it's not just this thing around software-based. This is hardware-based remote management. So even if that OS is having an issue, you can still go and manage that system. And the reason why is because we're putting in things below the OS, kind of a hardware level where it's a keyboard, video, mouse, where a partner is actually the one driving the end customer system, all done securely, but also being able to do that remote boot. So let's say someone gets an update and all of a sudden on their system and it blue screens them. Now as a partner, I can go through and remotely get in a system, see what's going on with the system. And if I have to reboot it to a new image remotely, I can do that, right? And I think also this is where we start looking at that KVM, that remote ISO boot. It's not like you have to go get a brand new tool. This is where we spent time working with your favorite console vendors. So think of ConnectWise, think of Datto, think of Kaseya, Spiceworks, go on. We've done full integration with them. So that means that when you're in your specific console, you now have capability to all these hardware-based remote managed capability that you didn't have before. Now when you start integrating these technologies together, you're getting the most out of the technology, making your technicians more efficient. Once again, how do we make sure we handle this remote customer base that's growing on a daily and an hourly basis?
Okay, now let's move to segment 2, Intel vPro technology. Eric, first question, how does the technology work within an MSP's existing solution offerings?
So this is the good news, right, Ed? So it's not like a partner has to go through and go and train their entire staff on a whole new set of software. That's always something that comes out. It's like, I hear over and over again, Eric, just give us one pane of glass. So the good thing is that at Intel, we have a whole team that works on a daily basis with remote management console vendors. So think of your ConnectWise, your Datto, your Kaseya, your Spiceworks. We're working with them regularly on updates to Intel vPro technology. We're also making sure that when you look at the technology you have, if you're making updates, those updates automatically include any updates we have with vPro. But I'd say, so it's in your RMM tool. The second part is that when you actually have a system out there that's got vPro technology on it, it's a little sticker, but it has vPro. So it's a desktop, a notebook, an all-in-one. You would just do a scan in your RMM tool. You'd scan the environment. And then from there, once you find a specific system, you would actually provision it. So there's a secure connection that's made. Once you make that connection, Then what ends up happening is on your remote management console, you'll see some pieces that now will actually light up. They were gray before, but all of a sudden now fully light up. And this is where I talk about hardware KVM, power on and off, advanced log monitoring. These are things that are there already today. So you're not actually, doesn't have to cost more in your console. It's already there as long as you got that vPro system connected up and provisioned.
Perfect. And then last one would be just getting to sort of into the nitty gritty. How does all this impact the partners' bottom lines?
Now, this is where we start talking about, cost versus revenue. And right now, this is going to be a really big issue for partners. It's like, I got to be able to manage more devices, right? So that tech utilization got to go up, right? So we got to figure out a way, how do we enable the technicians within everyone here that's watching this podcast today to grow up, not necessarily to go up by like 5% or 10%. We want to make it so that your technicians can manage not only more devices in existing customers, but handle more customers. So tech utilization is going to go up. I think also how it impacts partners' bottom line is that margin increases. If I'm rolling less trucks, that cost of the truck, the insurance, the gas, the employee time, that's going to then, that cost goes down and I'm able to manage more devices. That means I'm getting more kind of reoccurring revenue coming in. My margin going to go up. And what I like to say is that your share of wallet and your footprint is going to grow. And a partner says, what's that mean? I say, your existing customers, when you do remote management to them, it's great, but you always have projects that you're doing. And if you don't have human capital to do those project works, you can't get that money. Now, doing more remote management, you're doing more utilization for your techs. Your techs can then now help on project work. And then footprint grows. What that means is that because you can actually manage more devices remotely, it's really remotely, meaning you can actually expand not just in the street in your town, not just your town. We have many partners that are going across states and across the U.S. So that's how that footprint's going to grow. Once again, making the partner's bottom line grow and really making more money.
Excellent. So now I want to move to segment 3, which is solutions in action. And for the first question, I want to ask, can you, Eric, give us a real-world example of how Intel vPro technology saves time?
When we think about technology providers, we work with a lot of different partners across the world. We have a partner work up in Canada called Bluebird. And Bluebird is one that actually goes across Canada. And for them, it sometimes can take multiple hours to actually get to an end customer. So in this case, when they can actually take Intel vPro technology, remotely manage system and remotely repair that, it saves them 3 hours. More important thing too is that we don't understand that an end customer, they're sometimes waiting for the partner. So they're like, hey, this is great. It not only makes so we can actually save time remediation and make sure we get things fixed, but also the customer's not sitting there waiting for us. And they're actually saving about 83% on just hardware issues that come up, right? Because they can check things remotely. And if there is an issue, they can bring the right part out the first time. They don't have to be going back and forth. And when you're talking 3 hours, that adds up very, very quickly. And
then question 2 would be, how does all this impact SLAs and customer satisfaction?
Yeah, so there's another one of our customers, Prosper. It's an MSP, and it's because Steve, their CEO, was talking about how when they've implemented vPro technology, it's able to basically save them time. And what that means is that if they can, manage more devices, they can touch more devices. It makes it so devices are actually up and they're not down. And so if there's a blue screen that comes up, they can take care of that issue the same day. Right? If they could take care of it the same day, that means that their end customers are up and more often. And it's because we've talked about this in a little ways back about removing and reducing truck rolls, right? Faster service times impacts not only the bottom line for an MSP, but also that customer's productivity actually goes up. And it's interesting because when we look at what's actually happened with Prosper, their average downtime when they went from a non-vPro to vPro can reduced by 75%. So think about the customer uptime. They went up by 75% because Prosper was able to use Intel vPro technology.
Excellent. And then just the last question in segment 3, what tools are available for channel partners to learn more about Intel vPro technology and how can they get started?
Once people start hearing about this, like, okay, great. I think I have one of those tools. I got Datto, I got ConnectWise, I got Kaseya. Tell me, how can I start right now, right? We are all about onboarding partners very, very quickly. So we have a tool called the vPro Navigator. That's actually something on msp.intel.com. When you go there, there'll be a place there, and literally is a step-by-step guide. And what I mean by that is that when you log on, it'll actually show you how you can scan your environment with your specific console. So it's going to show you screenshots. And then from there, it actually shows you how to provision. And that's just the part where it connects up. And then once you provision, there's a part that actually shows you how to do hardware-based KVM, how to do inventory, how to do power management. So it actually shows you, and like I said, it shows you the exact screens. We take screenshots. We show you how to go through. And the key thing about it that a lot of people don't know, it's like the best kept secret, I think, out there, is that in this vPro Navigator, on top, there's a support button that is hooked to an Intel engineer. I tell people, I'm like, that's the best thing. Click that thing. You write an email. You're actually connected with a person, a live human being that's there that knows your specific console inside out, has a lab set up, so can actually help you there. So I would say going to the vPro Navigator is going to help you the most. Get started right now and get you connection with the right people that know the technology and the software.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. So Eric, thanks again for being here. And before we go, I just want to share some takeaways that I have from today's program. Takeaway number one, channel partners must do more with limited resources, grow their customer base, and save time everywhere. That's number one. Number two, Intel vPro helps MSPs save time. And finally, vPro Navigator is your one-stop shop for self-service vPro technology. So again, thanks so much everyone who's watched today. Once again, my name is Ed Hannon. You've been watching Pardon the Integration, steer toward greater efficiency and better profits with Intel vPro technology.